All right, so David, if we may talk for a moment about NATO, right? Because we've had Steinmeier and others already speaking about the tensions within NATO. We've had Macron in the past speak about that and about how useful NATO really still is. Donald Trump has, asked for NATO member countries in the past and still very much stands by that statement that they need to contribute a lot more to the defense budget. Do you think NATO is in a weak position right now, weaker, I should say, in context, going into this conference? Stoltenberg, of course, has denied that. However, that does seem to be the case to an extent.
Well, NATO stands or falls on the unity of its members. And the Europeans, as well as the Americans, are no longer as unified as they were. So I think it is correct to say that NATO is weaker, and that until greater European cohesion and greater transatlantic cohesion is achieved, NATO will remain weak.
So then what does this then mean for global security then? Because a weak NATO, at least in many countries' eyes, means a stronger Russia, for example, right? And that's been spoken about at this conference as well, where Russian influence is growing, even Chinese influence has been spoken about. So do you think that in a sense that sort of alarmist, language and rhetoric will then bring that unity back to the fore? Will they sort of just gather together again in the face of growing Russian influence?
First and foremost, I must say that I don't think NATO has always been very helpful. NATO has been used by its member states to create a number of the issues that we are dealing with today, whether it is in relation to the Middle East, North Africa, and other countries. So I would say that a NATO which is a bit more introspective is a useful thing. The other thing I would say is that, in a sense, the shift of power within Europe is moving eastwards, especially now with Brexit, and that will, of course, have implications for NATO and NATO's agenda, as well as the European Union agenda. Yeah. The other part I wanted to also talk a bit about is what is not covered in the Munich conference and what is not discussed. And that includes, for example, the role of Turkey. Turkey is a NATO member, is increasingly active across the Mediterranean, and is one of the few, perhaps, UN member states that has taken steps to support the UN-backed government in Tripoli. So more, perhaps, attention to these things that are not covered is also something we should be mindful of.